Hello, welcome to another edition of Afro Zone, and I am your host, Ambassador Bosch. And in Afro Zone, we focus on fellow changemakers across the continent, but for now we are limiting it to Sierra Leone for a start. And we are at the 10th edition, that means the 10th editions of this wonderful Afro Zone, courtesy of iAfrica. In the show, you have the Street Zone as well as the Innovation Entrepreneurship Corner. Don't go nowhere, I'll be right back, and we'll continue the rest of the show. So welcome back, and my guest for today is a fellow colleague in the media landscape, and she has been doing extremely well in the media, from BBC Media Action and to Lafayette and all. So many things have happened along her career pathway. She'd love to be interviewed, but I had to break the barrier. She's Maraya, Mushka, Conteh. Maraya, it's a pleasure having you.
Definitely. Thanks very much for having me on the zone, and thank you to the team.
And today is the opposite.
I know, right?
And most times you'll be the one interviewing people, but today you're on the other hand.
On the hot seats. I think, exactly.
All right. Let's look at it from career pathway. Growing up as a kid, was media part of the plan?
Well, not really, but you know, when you are born with something natural, gifted, so you can definitely not escape or balance your calling. So I was in school when I started working with children in the media through Concept Multimedia.
Yeah.
So I can recall the first advert or me being on TV screen was with iPass.
Yeah.
To do an advert on menstruation.
Okay.
So that was my first spotlight at age 15. And then started working with Concept Multimedia, rose through the ranks, and then became part of the Waiting Out team, which was the biggest young people program in Sierra Leone. And then later find myself at AYV, and of course 98.1. and to BBC Media Action. 98.1 briefly.
Okay. Okay, what about AIT?
Of course.
Yes. I remember those days television was not common.
Exactly.
Here comes AIT from Nigeria.
Exactly.
Okay.
I worked with AIT 2012 to cover the election. I remember I was stationed in Moyamba, my hometown. Yeah. And definitely it was amazing. That gave me a promotion after the election to a senior producer at the head of news at AIT by then. Okay,
now look at BBC Media Action. The idea was strange in Sierra Leone, but yet still it was worthwhile. Yeah. I really recall back then, my days, my past station, you come there, producer, you rose to the ranks of a seasoned presenter in the country. Okay. Now look at the experience of BBC Media Action.
BBC, actually, I was working with an estate company by then. I was in college. You know what we call in Sierra Leone, you do mami coca. So, and then I saw these adverts in the newspaper. They were looking for interns. So I said, okay, let me just give it a try. It was a colleague at the office by then, a lawyer. He said, Maraya, you're reading mass communications. So why won't you apply for this position? So I remember we drove through Spur Roads the last day for the closing of the adverts. And then I applied. Fortunately, I saw big journalists like our mentors. We all went for the interview. But luckily, I was the only female among 64 guys. So, and they were looking for 4 people. So, of course, the gender card came in and played well, and I was professional as well, though I was new and fragile or naive in the field by then. But, I mean, sitting in front of the great Asana Oni for an interview, and then you have a Zoom call or an internet call by then, it was really tough. But I made my way, and of course I became one of the interns. I was supposed to work there as an intern for 6 months, but I mean I did only 3 months, and I was promoted to production assistant. So I started as a production assistant, and then became a producer of one of the biggest, governance show and accountability show that BBC was producing called Foro. I was the assistant producer, and then we had a contract from Comic Relief, and then they were looking for a presenter. I applied, and I became the star of the show. So,
I know the rest is history.
Exactly.
And you have toured nationwide, because with Forward, it's not only limited to the studios. There are times you have to go down to the ground and have a feel of what really happening.
Because it talks about governance, and of course you want to see what government is actually talking about in terms of implementation, about the different projects they are working on. So you have to go to the interland. I remember I covered a store in Kumala, beyond Kabbalah.
Yeah.
So no network, no hotel. You have to stay in the chief's house. You understand? And then no good food. I can remember in the evening, before you eat their food, and then you have to go to a local bar to take local palm wine. So, you know, something can just balance.
You can digest well.
Exactly.
That was so interesting. So you left the BBC Media Action.
Yes.
And there was a different adventure.
Yeah, I had a scholarship with LSE. So things happened. And of course, the BBC cannot, keep a space for you after your scholarship. So then I went to Nigeria after the UK. Yeah. Started my own thing in Nigeria, and then met a couple of guys around. And we started Lafayette Communications. And of course, you know, I studied communication. Yeah. And I wanted to differentiate as a journalist, to give myself that all-round flair. Yeah. You understand? So because if you look at the trends now as a journalist, you have to upgrade. Definitely to fit in the market. Yeah. So I wanted that kind of package. And I said, okay, let me just enroll for Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, which is one of the top PR bodies in West Africa, to actually give you the necessary training, even though you are from a communication school, but you need that to actually have a niche for yourself in the market of public relations. So I definitely enrolled, and as God could have it, I'm the first West African outside Nigerian to be graduated,
Congratulations.
from the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. So we started Lafayette Communications. Lafayette is a PR firm and a publishing house as well. So we are the publishers of Lafayette Magazine, and of course we do communication work. So basically it was not an easy journey, because in Sierra Leone it's a new market. For sure. To advertise brands, market them, not in the case of Nigeria. So we struggled. So we didn't have to limit it only to Sierra Leone. So we expanded the business. And luckily for us, our magazine is being circulated in 24 countries today.
That's amazing.
And we have an office space in Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. So, but we are looking forward to see how best we can expand to other countries, because the human resource is a challenge. Resources as well to maintain structures as well has been challenging. But I'm glad to be part of the space, creative people who are making the difference in Sierra Leone, to create that kind of brand awareness, package sense to your product.
Let's look at the reading culture, very lacking in Sierra Leone. At the same time, advertisement here, the price is varies compared to Nigeria, Ghana, and the places that you have mentioned. How do you want to stand the test of time?
Definitely, it begins with a step. Because looking backwards, the way communication has been in Sierra Leone, you can attest that there has been a change, obviously. So it's step by step, and then it's how you package your product for people to see value in it, and then they can spend their money definitely. Of course, it's not easy. Production is not cheap, to be honest with you. So you have to give a client a package that he or she can accept, and then they are willing to put money into it. And of course, the days of social media, you know, everybody wants their business to be out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously they are willing to pay, despite it might be small now, but obviously we as creative people or content creators, we are definitely thinking every day what the market is going to appreciate. Of course, people are lazy. With the level of social media around, of course, people don't have time to read that long magazines anymore. So you create sharp, crispy, spicy content that will definitely slide into the DMs for 1 minute, 1 second, and then you make your money. So it gives us a lot of burden to think about how people can see this space. Because if you want to compare or be on the same stage with Nigeria, Ghana, oh boy, your package is not
you have a lot. You have a lot to do. I'll bring her back shortly. She's Maraya Mushka Conteh, and a seasoned journalist, a writer, and someone who has been doing extremely well in the media landscape, not only in Sierra Leone, but at a global stage for now. Quick message from our sponsor. I'll be right back shortly. welcome back, and many thanks to our sponsors for giving support to AfroZone. We still have with us here at Al Gerard Restaurant and Bakery, Maraya, Mushka, Conteh. Maraya, let's talk about Lafayette Magazine. You have interviewed top names, you know. And most times, seeing your post, I say, okay, that's Maraya. I'm proud of her. Now, let's look about the difference. Those names across Nigeria and the region compared to Sierra Leone.
Definitely, you know, when they mentioned names like Igalo, Chief Shagode Bami, Innocent Motors, you know, I can remember when I went to Nnewi in Anambra State, that's where you have the factory for Innocent Vehicles. You know, I went there just for 2 days in my mind, but I couldn't see the chief behind the motors. I mean, like, as in, I was sitting down waiting for this gentleman, and he said, you can only see him at 3 a.m. in the morning. You can imagine, I traveled from Sierra Leone by road, through Benin Road, to Nnewi, through the Niger Delta Bridge. I was there. I couldn't see this man for over 2 days. So the first time I had the opportunity to sit and talk with him was on the 5th day, at 3 a.m. in the morning, and that man, the house was still full, with over 10 or 12 people waiting to see him. And then he said, you have 5 to 10 minutes. So we can now talk briefly. I can now just respond and give you the details through my communication person. So we sat there, you know, I used my PR skills. We now talked for over 2 hours.
Nice.
Exactly, they brought food at that early morning. We ate, and then we discussed. So I did my interview there, and since then we have maintained relationship because they know how to actually package themselves. Not only in Nigeria, people have interviewed across the world. Basically, they can package themselves and they know the importance of public image, which as Sierra Leoneans, to be honest with you, we are still struggling with. Because we have people who have done tremendously well in different sectors, but where are
they are not available to shine light on? Exactly,
where are they? I mean, to talk about their history, their story, to be part of the process, to explain and narrate themselves, not to be a character in somebody's write-up. So they don't. For me, I don't actually think they know the importance of packaging or PR. But with the level of intervention from all of us in the field, I think it's changing gradually.
We have a lot to do.
Exactly.
Well, my favorite interview amongst all is the one with Igalo.
Okay.
For just obvious reasons. I love it.
Because it's football now.
But how was it?
Well, I started like, okay, this is the great Ojon Igalo. You know, played for Watford. You know, Manchester United, now in Serbia from China, a lot of money. You know, as Nigerians can package themselves. When I went to his estate, like the name, the Igalo's residence inscribed on the wall was inscribed with gold. I mean, 3 or 4 carats gold. So, you know, when you enter the house, the spoons are gold, you have pure silver. And then they say, the young man is coming downstairs, you see the gym and everything. I was like, wow, these people can package. So now he came down, and then, but it was looking very simple. You know, with this kind of, you know, as a journalist, when you are going to interview a big name, you like, I mean, nervous, and then you want to do the best. So he now came down with a shorts and slippers and a t-shirt, like, what's up now, how far? Shebi, you don't chop. I was like, guy, I'm okay, but let's just get down to the interview. So I learned. It was this kind of simple but organized person. And then he gave me a tour of the house. I was like, really? And then the academy, the charity is running. And it's amazing, definitely, when you see young Africans being packaged and portray our culture. We take pride in that. Sometimes, for me, the job is what I love doing. It's a passion. Because when you see people like that, you are proud. When you mingle with international people, like, okay, I'm from this continent. I remember the time I covered the World Cup as the only Sierra Leonean. It was strange. You know, I went there with some kind of maroon hair on my head. People would just call me, where are you from? I'm from Sierra Leone. They will give you a map to look for Sierra Leone. And then they'll mention, Ahmed Musa, are you from Nigeria? From Nigeria, they give you a bear. So for you to struggle to actually say I'm from Sierra Leone, like, okay, what is happening in Sierra Leone? So it was like, how did you come here? Did you take 6 or 7 days flight to come to Russia? So, but I mean, we as Sierra Leoneans, we really need the kind of zest, that push to get us what we're doing. Because we have amazing people, to be honest with you. People who have done well
and we have
in the
science,
stories. Exactly, in the science space. the technological space. I mean, even in this journalism. But people need to realize that these days you need to tell your story. You need to write your story yourself for your country to be proud of you. So that's definitely what we are going to be working on. And of course, you have done tremendously well in what you're doing. So actually, because me na somebody, make I talk for free. Me na possibly not like interview, but at least you took me off my comfort zone to actually be part of Afro Zone. It's really amazing.
You have interviewed over 1,000 people, so it's nice to be interviewing. As we're closing, Maraya, what next for Lafette magazine?
Of course, Lafette is there. We are there. We are now, of course, we are doing the Salon CEOs Meet with Lafette Communication, which is actually the biggest investment conference. We bring together investors from different African countries to talk about business. It's not a secret that we need investment in Sierra Leone in every sector to actually boost our economy. So we are actually bringing these investors together to see where they can tap in to create space for our local entrepreneurs to develop our economy. So we do that every year. And then, of course, we have the PR training that I'm going to be doing since I'm part of the NIPR. I'm bringing NIPR to Sierra Leone to see how best we can train communication people, public relations personnel to actually bring professionalism, creativity in the PR space. Because if we look, it's nothing good to write home about. When you talk about public relations, copywriting, advertisements, because if you listen to the different ads on radio, it's unique in its own way. So, but we are actually bringing the sauce to the actual, to the main delicacy.
I know. So what about social media handles as we're wrapping up? How can someone reach out to Lafette and you?
Maraya Mushka on Facebook, the Lafette Magazine on Facebook, the Lafette Magazine on Instagram, the Lafette Magazine on Twitter, and of course you can follow us on our website at www.thelafettemagazine.com. And of course, don't forget, I'm Maraya Mushka, the boss lady, on Instagram.
I know. The lady focuses more on the brand and the bank alert.
The mush now.
Less media attention. And thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you, Maraya. Okay, so thank you so much to our guests, and many thanks also to the rest of the production team and to Madam Zara, the owner of this wonderful facility here at Al Jarrad Restaurant and Bakery at Wilberforce. And we now join Ibrahim Kanu for the Innovation and Entrepreneurship panel. Today, have a wonderful time and keep watching Afros on iAfrica Asam on Facebook and our YouTube channel. I've been your humble servant, I'm Mr. Labash.
Hello and welcome to your weekly edition of the Innovation and Entrepreneur Corner. And I am Ibrahim Kanu. Our guest is Alvin Johnson, and he is the CEO of the Alvin Johnson Recycling Group, an institution set up to recycling wood, coal, bricks, and tile. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, thank you.
I know recycle was not part of the plan because your main focus was accounting.
Yeah.
From grammar school to Allison University and Afro College. You are that perfect accounting student. So what brought the change along the line?
Well, thank you very much for having me today. I could say actually, university, the essence of all going to university is just for us to get a universal exposure on how to survive and how to be life.
Exactly.
You can basically study this course, but in the actual, from university, but in the actual universe, you have to diversify in a way to suit yourself in the global position. So maybe an accounting student and in an actual life, this is what I'm doing. Now, I actually love innovation. So coming back from university, work with Orange, work with other institutions, I thought it fits that I have to create something out of myself. So what I did was to go over online, study about recycling online through this Allison University. I studied about this recycling, how it can transform our nation, how it can contribute in generating resources for our nation, how we can engage youth as youth employment. So that was all part of the plan. So I started doing it as a case study. At first we did it, it was not successful. And the guys I went with got discouraged and they never showed up. After some time, I scheduled myself again. I went with another set of people. I went like 3 to 4 times. On the 5th time, it was finally successful.
Okay, which is good.
Yeah. I thought why we failed on the previous times, we were missing the mixture. Because we have to have enough plastics waste and enough sand, both melted in the same pot. Under intensive fire, you have to make it mix well before you're able to produce your bricks. So we got that first mixture. And by the grace of God, we were able to produce the bricks.
Which is good.
Which is very, very phenomenal.
So how did you engage in collecting those plastic waste? Because most of the waste within the capital city of Freetown is being collected by council. So did you work with council to collect the garbage waste?
As I initially said, the whole project was to empower youth, create job employment for them, for us, the youth, and also create a resources-based generation for the nation as well. What we did, we didn't go to city council. What we did was to gather the youth around the area. You bring 1 full bag of plastic, you get 10,000.
Okay, 10,000.
Yes.
So it costs for a bag of plastic.
Waste plastic. We didn't want them to do it for nothing.
Exactly.
It will play as if we are using them.
Exactly.
So I could tell you, less than 3 days, the entire area was clean of plastic waste. So we gathered the plastic waste, about 20 to 50 bags. We transported them to the site that we are using. So that was how we gathered the plastic waste.
So, in starting up your business, how did you raise up capital? Because it is a huge challenge for so many people who want to start up a business.
And at my time at Orange, I was saving up. I was saving up because I always had this intention of me working for myself. If you can really, really, really work for yourself, it's more better for you to work for yourself and put all your effort.
Exactly.
Your effort is going to pay you, so you wouldn't be able to play no lazy part.
Exactly.
So we saved up that much. I went into producing the materials that we needed. One, we have to pay for the pan that we have to mix the plastic and the sand in. It was created by one man at Mauritania. We went there, we paid him. He created about 3 different pots. We transported it to Wilkinson Road, where our site is. We paid for sand, up 1 trip sand. We brought the sand, and we paid the youth around the area. They gathered plastic waste for us. And we also went to these coconut sellers. We bought the jelly waste, because out of that coconut waste, we used to produce our coal.
Our coal.
Yeah. That coal can be used for both these shisha pipes, and it can also be used for domestic cooking.
Work.
Yeah. So that was how I saved up and intended to put it into everything.
Which is good. So in terms of the production of your bricks, so how solid they are for construction?
Okay. When we started producing, actually, when we started producing successfully, our first day we made about 5. We let it dry off for a day, and we went to test to see how best it could be very strong for it to be used for construction purposes. I can tell you, the first test we did was to raise it up to my height. We drop it. It's never gets break. It was extremely solid. When you drop it, it bounces back. You pour water on it. As long as I'm here, you pour water on it. All this time that I've been here, the water will still be floating on top of it. It's never absorb water. So we did all the trials, and we also brought this bricks that is produced from the cement and the sand. We did our test. Yeah, we did our test. We find out that our product is more stronger than and very, very resilient than it.
Which is good. Finally, so what will be your message of hope to young people who want to be an innovator or want to explore the field of entrepreneurship?
Well, I can say to everybody, including me, that we should never be relent.
Exactly.
You know, whenever starting some of this innovative stuff, the results are always discouraging. Most especially, you start having your product and you have somebody that has no knowledge about it. The first word that they will say, this, quote unquote, is not possible in this country. So that is always...
Did you say they work?
Yeah. That is always their word of encouragement to you. Okay. But what I always say to young people is that when somebody says you can't do it, let that be as a motivator.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody seems to discourage me, I turn that discouragement into a motivator and a factor and work on it. The guy, my brother at home, when I started this product, he was always saying, not possible. But today, he's the one saying that, this needs empowerment, it needs capital. I say, yeah. And also, what we are also struggling with is capital. Starting your innovation, you know, for you to have capital is something that can almost discourage you.
Because it is a baseline for the company to survive.
To survive. So what I say, you can still never relent, still keep pushing, and trust in God.
Exactly.
That's what I say. Above all, trust in God.
Exactly. So you can leave your social media handles.
Okay. On Facebook, it's the Johnson Recycle Group, SL Limited. It is there, SLL. And on Twitter, you can have us on the Johnson Recycling Group, SLL. On Twitter, on IG, you can have us Johnson Recycling Group, SLL. That is there.
All right, you have heard from Mr. Johnson, and you can contact him from the various social media handles he has just mentioned. And many thanks to our fans. And you can support us by clicking the like button and leave your amazing comments below. So next week, I am Ibrahim Khan.